If somebody had told you Joe Burrow would throw for 5 touchdowns, put up 38 points for the Cincinnati Bengals, and still they couldn't beat the Baltimore Ravens, would you have been surprised? Peter, how on earth have they managed to do this one? They're 1-4 now. They're in a real problem, the Bengals. And Joe Burrow hasn't played badly.
No,
this one, definitely. He balled out.
Yeah, he hasn't. In fact, the last 3 games, he has balled out. He has done his part for the offense to be able to win games. But the Bengals defense have become absolutely atrocious. Like, there's no denying that they're the worst defense in the NFL this year. The absolute total worst defense in the NFL this year. And it's like, it's such a travesty what Joe Burrow is going through. And I know when it comes to wins and losses, some people attribute it to the quarterback. But when you look at the games and you watch the games and the quarterback is performing, the offense is humming, they're doing all the things right, and they're still losing these games, he is the one quarterback I could say I can't blame for any. I would say for the last 3 games, let's say the last 3 games, he's not responsible for any of the losses. Like, he has put up the points. In the NFL, if you score 28 points, you're winning. So I just don't understand.
So this game was wild, right?
All I would say is, what more can Joe do?
What more can Joe do? Because he put the team in the position to get the field goal to win it, right? They didn't. And then Lamar tried to throw the ball away. Not actually, like that fumble in OT. Because he took his eyes off the snap, right? And that fumble in OT should have meant the Bengals would have won in OT, and they couldn't move. The one time the offense couldn't do anything was in OT. So they didn't manage to do that, and then Derrick Henry said, "Nah, this game's mine."
Yep,
with that big run.
Because you kept giving opportunities, he's gonna make you pay for it. At the end of the day, check out these numbers. Joe Burrow has 12 touchdowns. He leads the NFL with 12 touchdowns, 2 INTs, 73.6 QBR, which is second in the league, 112.4 passer rating. If I told you these numbers at this point in the season, you would think that quarterback is probably 5-0, and that team is heading for the number 1 seed.
Yeah, no, the Bengals right now are in a real sticky mess. I think the thing is, you're never completely out of it, but you're running out of railway track. Like, you're going to have to get some wins, and you're going to have to go on a stretch where you can't afford to lose one game. Because once you start at this low and you're hitting the halfway point of the season, you kind of like need like a turnaround. The defense hasn't played great at all. Joe Burrow's actually played really well. They've got another boogeyman coming up internally in their team. Obviously, Jamar Chase is adding to his value. You know what I mean? So the more that, like, this game might easily have made him like another $3-4 million right there. Like, these are the types back up, and he's just adding up that. He's going to put more pressure on the organization. Just before you speak, Dilly, they need to sort out that defense. But right now, you've got someone that's going to become available. And he's as a defensive coordinator, he is very capable. He's got really good connections across the league.
Yeah, they're going to get Salah.
Everyone's like, anyone with a bad defense, right, you got to get him. Come to us. You've got
to go get Salah, because right now, like, this season is running away from them. I don't think they've got the consistency to play well down the stretch. And that's the issue here. Like, right now, I'm just going to be honest.
Well, no,
they're easily a divisional championship team. But right now, with their record heading forward, these guys could be battling for a wild card. That's assuming things go their way.
Okay, let me put it this way, right?
This early, it's not good.
Okay, let me put it this way. So we know each conference has 7 teams going to the playoffs, right? Bills are winning the East. One of the Steelers and the Ravens is winning the North, right? Texans most likely are going to win the South. Chiefs are winning the West, right? So those, so there's, obviously we know that the Bengals aren't going to be one of those four. Right? They're not going to be the one winning the AFC North. You just can't from this hole, especially when two teams are 3-2 in their division. So there are three more spots up for. So one of them's going to go to the AFC North, right?
Mm-hmm.
At least.
Yeah.
Because one of those 3-2 teams they're playing too well, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then you look at the AFC East. Jets just fired their coach. Patriots are about to put in Drake May against that Texans defense. One of the most insane decisions you're going to see, because he's going to wonder why they put a lamb to the slaughter. And then the Dolphins don't have anybody left because they're all getting concussions.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So that nobody in that division is getting in the playoffs. We don't expect. Jets have a chance, but that makes it even more baffling why they fired their coach. Look out for that segment. Now, North.
They just got to play smooth down the stretch. Like,
but the
we're
AFC
talking down the
South.
stretch.
AFC South. Only the Colts have a chance of making the playoffs, right? Out of those teams. Titans and Jags, just not good enough. AFC West, I expect the Chargers, probably, because they were on a bye week last week. I expect the Chargers to be in the wild card, just based upon how they're playing, based upon how that defense is playing. 4 games, they've only given up 50 points. In 4 games. Yep. You're going to win more games more often than not. They've only put 68 on the board, but they're going to win in more games than not, so they're going to get in, because there are too many bad teams in the AFC at the moment. Raiders, I don't think they've got a chance at all. Broncos, they're 3-2. But can they haven't got as good an offense, in my opinion, as the Chargers do. But they've got almost as good a defense as well. So there's a chance still the Bengals can turn it around from 1-4 because of the lack of talent in the other teams in the AFC. Well, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I know. Something has to change in that organization. I think, like I said, they've got the ability to turn it around. It's really hard to win in the NFL. The whole point of having a really good start at the start of the season is that it gives you room for error later on. Like the Vikings right now are in a really good situation because the games that they're stockpiling now, when they have those games where they lay an egg later in the season, they can easily work their way back. But the Bengals, it's going to be hard for them to play really good down the stretch. They need to sort out their defense. But what do you do right now? Like, what if they drop like 2 games in the next 4 weeks after the bye?
Well, no, their bye is in week 12, right? So they've got a long stretch.
Well,
yeah, so
that's a long stretch.
But they've got a long stretch. So if you look at it week by week, right? They've got the Giants. They've got the Browns. Could be winning both games, right? This offense is good enough to win both games, right?
Especially the Browns. They don't have a quarterback right now at all. Assuming they stick with their guy. Yeah,
and then they've just got a nice little pushover called the Philadelphia Eagles. That's just me.
I'm not even going to argue. I'm not even going to argue.
All right.
They're a bad team.
Then the Raiders. So the next 4 games, they could easily go 4-0. They could go 4-0, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if they do go 4-0, they're going to be back to 5-4. Problem solved. Right?
Yep.
Yeah.
And then they get the Ravens and the Chargers. Then they've got 2 half-away games before their bye. And then they come back out of their bye and they've got the Steelers, Cowboys, Titans, Browns, Broncos, Steelers.
I mean, Broncos defense right now is one of the best in the league. And they're getting better every week. Don't get me wrong, Bo Nix isn't doing a lot necessarily, but he's doing enough. You know what I mean? He's looking after the football. He's completing passes. Their defense don't shut down. That's a really good matchup that I'd like to see. 100%.
So that's week 17, that matchup. That's going to be a really interesting one going into New Year's.
Yeah. I mean, towards the end of the season, most players are just hanging on at that point. Like they just want to get, if they're going to make the playoffs, they just want to work through and just get like that extra week off because it is it's brutal. This is assuming everyone stays healthy. You know, God forbid we get any injuries, nicks and knocks
I
along
mean,
the way. You know, it's going to
the
affect
thing
a lot of
is,
things. Like if any of those guys get like a hammy or like a stub toe or like soft tissue, T Higgins is out, that game's done. Like they're going to lose that game because as
see,
good as Jamar Chase is, he's getting triple team. They're not afraid of your run. I mean, you're going to have to play perfect.
hey, Jamal Chase is playing for chip on his shoulder because he's performing. So at the end of the season, the best give him the money that he wants, which
I think
he's
it's
now
more of
looking. Right now, he's looking into the 40 million per year range. The way he's performing, despite them
Yeah.
not having agreed a deal. And that aside, when you look at the next 4 games, you guys have said they could easily be 4-0. They could also be easily be 2-2 onto the record because I could still see them losing to the Eagles and the Raiders. Yes, they might not be. They look easy for them to win on paper, but because of how their defense
the
is,
Raiders. The Raiders. Come on.
Raiders
hear
is
me. No. The reason why I say
What
hear me
with
out is
Aiden O'Connell at quarterback? Because he got hooked
okay.
last
So
week.
there could be. All right, there could be 3-1. The Eagles game, they could lose it very easily.
Correct.
Because right now it seems like any competent offense
But then
can
there'll be
score
4
points
and
against
5.
their defense.
if
But
the
then
Yeah,
there'll
so
be
team
then
4 and
has a
5.
then there'll be
That's
quarterback,
4-5
okay.
at that point.
if the
And then
team's got a quarterback,
and then the
it's going to
teams
cause problems.
you see, you get what I'm saying? But what I'm saying is that I think I'm gonna make a prediction here. I think this is the season that the Bengals are gonna find out that starting 1-4 every year is not gonna cut it anymore because it's not sustainable. Eventually, you won't be able to make the playoffs despite starting poorly like you've done the previous seasons and caught it up. They might not do it again this season
That might
because the
not be the
last
case.
3 years they've always started late and they've kind of made it, but this year it might not be the case.
Not with their defense playing the way it is. You can't switch coordinators halfway through a season, man. That's a whole new defensive scheme.
But you can add a consultant.
You can add a consultant, but that's basically the writing on the wall. I think DC's not going to. I mean, if he's under contract, he's going to want to go so he can get a job somewhere else and get paid for 2 jobs. So it's
No,
really
but the
interesting. Like,
consultant is there to save you. It's there to save you. So allow him to save you.
yeah, the consultant
Yeah.
is going to take it.
Bengals need to sort it
Shout out
out.
to Lamar, by the way.
Yeah, shout out to Lamar because he had himself a game, even though he
Yeah.
did fumble the ball twice in this one for a loss.
One thing I want to add for Lamar is I hope this puts an end to this, like Lamar Jackson, like because we kind of go through like ups and downs, or we kind of doubt him, and then he comes through with a game like this. You know, he performs it really well. It shows us exactly like what type of QB he is throwing and running the ball. So I think this should just put an end to that. Like I think his team is one of those teams that will figure it out as the season goes on. I mean, they're already there now, and sky's the limit, really. But I just want the Lamar Jackson vitriol to kind of end because Joe Burrow doesn't get this. You know, no one doubts Joe Burrow. They're like, yeah, no, he's good, he's good. There's no issue here. But Lamar, if he has 2 bad games, 1 bad games, a surprise loss, it's like, oh, this guy can't play.
Oh yeah, I think performances like that will put an end to it. But I think going on from this game,
He also needs to not try and throw away the game by
exactly
fumbling at the end.
And stuff. The one thing I've liked about Lamar this season is that he has a keen focus this year. I think, and that was justified by the video I saw a couple of weeks ago. I think they won a game previous to this one, and Marlon Humphreys was making videos and jubilating, and he sort of scolded him for it. He was like, "No, we don't need to jubilate because there were errors made in the game. We need to focus and improve and get better." I think he's getting into the mode of we gotta be serious if we want to win this Super Bowl. We can't be, always in a celebratory mode, celebratory mode all the time. We gotta have a keen focus, and I think Lamar is really focused on trying to get a Super Bowl. I think the individual accolades is done. He really wants a chip.
Yep, that's what the focus needs to be for the Ravens because they need to get back to the ship game, the one that came for it all.